Pattern replication. The primary event and future flags will result in manifested pattern replication of the primary event until it's properly restored due to the magnetic qualities of the envelope storage and attracting the pattern. So, like I said, the events, they get charged. It creates this snowball effect. It literally will continue to recreate the same patterns again. You get yelled at by everybody in your life. It can start off with your parents, and then it's your boyfriend, then it's your boss, then you're holding belief that all my bosses yell at me, all my boyfriends yell at me, all my parents, my parents always yelled at me, and then you drill down on when did that first show up. And so, and that could be, like I said before, there could be a couple different primary events that occurred where that happened, and it could be a different spin-off, a different take on the same type of behavior. But you could have a different takeaway. One could be everyone yells at me. Another one could be I'm worthless because people yell at me. So it's similar, but it's a little different, and that's where you're going to want to do the muscle testing to try and figure out what are your beliefs here, what is your statements, what is in your field, what is this agreement that you have with the world, and what statements are you holding in those agreements. So basically, that replication of the primary event until it's properly restored due to the magnetic qualities of the envelope storage attracting the pattern. These events can often be contradictory to other primary events, as one pulls in the opposite direction after a negative primary event. Similarly, putting more weight on the uninjured limb can cause damage to the originally uninjured limb, in some cases causing it more injury than the injured limb originally sustained. What do I mean by that? What I mean is we compensate, right? We compensate when we're injured. Okay, so a person that feels like they're worthless may end up going overboard to try and make people happy. Okay, so especially in the case of someone in the codependent if you have a parent that always makes you feel like you're worthless, then you're on high alert. You want everyone to like you. Maybe you go overboard. Maybe you cook for everybody. Maybe you feel like you have to cook for everybody to like you. It's these kinds of things where we compensated. So you had a primary event here that happened. That made you feel worthless, and you haven't addressed that. Instead, you've gone overboard, and you are giving people everything. You give them the moon. You don't take any time for yourself. You have an unhealthy existence, and you're over exaggerating everything to everybody, or you talk and you don't listen. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects to kind of going overboard and needing someone to like you, because back here your parents made you feel worthless. But that's what I mean by pattern replication. It happens in two ways. You've got the fact that the patterns are going to continue, but then you also have this other aspect of the compensation, where we're compensating in the opposite end. So you may find, what this means to you is, you may find that your issue is, no one in my family respects me. I give too much. Say I give too much. I do everything for everybody, and nobody cares about me. It could look like that over here, but in the end, what you may find is, my parents made me feel worthless. See how that just, we're looking at two. It's not what you think it is walking in the door. You think it is that nobody, you give too much. Your problem is you give too much, and that's, you're sitting down with your counselor, you're sitting with your spiritual counselor, and you're saying, I give everybody everything, and back, you've overcompensated, and you want to take your power back, and over here what you're realizing is, this all happened because my parents made me feel worthless. So, this is where we overcompensate, and we actually, let's say, over here, what it started out as is we felt worthless, but we've actually done so much more damage to ourselves by overcompensating. We've actually done more damage to the functional limb, right? Than the original injury. So that's the concept. We're looking at the positive negatives. Again, everything is kind of, you're looking at both polarities. We have to kind of look at every angle of this. Shifting that weight can create a paradox. It makes it more difficult to identify the primary event, which is another reason why it's really important to do that right brain, left brain mapping, and that negative, positive, the statements, where, for example, you'd say, I give too much, and then you would do another statement of, people fail to give to me, or people always give, and you'd be putting in, I always give a healthy amount of attention to people, or I give a healthy amount of support to the people that I love, and people give a healthy amount of support to me, and people give me a healthy amount of space. So it's kind of like you're tackling both angles, and by doing statements in this way, you are in fact helping yourself reestablish your agreements that are in your field, and that will, in a sense, by doing it that way, you've actually addressed this replication issue and also this diametrically opposed, very contradictory primary events that can result from this thing here triggering this thing. So by doing your statements in that way, in a sense, it will actually help you tackle this problem. And you may not even realize, a lot of people are so surprised. I've had people say, everybody judges me, and I say, okay, now I want you to test for I judge other people. And they don't see it coming, and their answer is yes. Like, I didn't think I was judgmental. And it's like, well, other people see it that way, you don't see it that way. So just because you don't think it's in your field, muscle test it anyway, and put these statements down anyway. And if you're challenged with muscle testing, who cares? Put the statements that you want in and take the statements that you want out, and do it in a nice, really well-balanced way, and then just do the heart restoration process. Even if you're having problems with muscle testing, write down what you want, write down what you don't want, and do the process, even if you're not sure. We'll talk about muscle testing more, but I just want to kind of give you an understanding. We have to look at every issue. We have to look at all aspects of the issue. We have to look at every side, every polarity, and also, again, the self, the universal self, and that mirroring effect that we have with others. And that's the way we want to map out our agreement and write down those statements that we want to put in our field and take out of our field.